is Malki, biologist and plant expert with Ivory Organics, where we grow cool plants, and today we're going to be talking about planting citrus. Specifically here I have my Eureka lemon tree in the standard form. You have a choice when you visit your nursery to either buy your citrus as a dwarf, meaning it's only going to grow a few feet, to a semi-dwarf, which will grow anywhere from 5 to 10, maybe 12 feet, to a standard. And a standard can grow anywhere from 15 to 20, 25 feet. But again, pruning can kind of control with some variation a couple of feet or a few feet here and there. So even on this label, it says you can grow 15 to 20 feet. You can always keep it even down to about 12 with management throughout the year. What we're going to do, and again, we've got this beautiful corner area of the lot. We're here in the city of La Cañada, which is the northeastern part of Los Angeles County here in Southern California. And we're going to be installing a citrus tree using the Ivory Organics method. It's important that you follow some certain steps, and you got to make sure you take very good care of your citrus tree so you don't avoid the risk of losing it, not only to natural death, but even the city of Los Angeles and even the state of California is now enforcing and regulating the management and care of citrus trees. As recently as just a few weeks ago, I received a notice on my door in regards to the inspection of my trees, and fortunately they passed. Let me share that notice with you. So this here's a notice I got on my door from the California Department of Food and Agriculture, and they wrote, post notice of visual inspection of Asian citrus psyllid, or the Huanglong Bing, or the HLB. And it shows that they came to my house around 2 o'clock, and they checked my front yard. And they wrote, our agricultural inspectors fortunately did not find the Asian citrus psyllid and or symptoms of HLB at this time on your property. When you pick up your citrus, typically anywhere in the state of California, you're going to notice that there's some tags on it. Over here you'll notice that it says, this plant shall not be removed out of the area quarantined for Asian citrus psyllid. And here's the website you can do some more research on, is www.cdfa.ca.gov. And the issue that's plaguing the citrus growers throughout California with this Asian citrus psyllid and this HLB bacteria, that when the Asian citrus psyllid gnaws on the leaves of your new growth, such as these tips, where they're tender and easy to get into and access those saps, Asian citrus psyllid comes, the mouth parts have this bacteria which works its way into the citrus tree and results in something called citrus greening. And citrus greening is killing a lot of the citrus groves across the country. Again, Asian citrus psyllid, it originated in Asia and it worked its way around the world and was discovered here in California as recently as about 10 or 15 years ago. So your management practice need to include this, and we're going to talk about management and care to minimize the risk of Asian citrus psyllid plaguing your plant, in addition to also citrus leaf miner, which is the main issue on my property when it comes to the health, as well as just visually making sure your plants look good without the issues of citrus leaf curl. What we're going to do here, and I want to share the label with you while I've still got you before we start, is I'm impressed with this label here which says citrus, and it's giving us instructions, and I like all of them. And sometimes there's a conflict, and it says dig hole 2 times the width of the pot. Step 2 is to plant the plant 1 inch above ground level. We're going to talk about the reason why in just a minute. Step 3 is to build a water basin around your plant. And number 4 is to mulch and water thoroughly. So we're going to review all of these steps right here and right now. So what we've just done is we've prepared the hole. Take a look at all of these boulders that we pulled out of it. Rocks as large as this, and there's still a few more down here, which we're still excavating. You're going to want to get as many of these rocks out of the hole, but as you're preparing the hole, there's no need, according to the directions, and even in my practice, for going deeper than the pot. And here we've gone maybe about 1 inch below the ground level. And when we're looking at the level of the pot, we're looking at where the plant is in the container, and we're going to want to make sure that soil level is the same. And in fact, according to directions, it wants you to stay 1 inch above the ground level. We're going to talk why in just a minute. To begin, what we're going to do is enrich the native soil. And this here is not a step on here, but it's also a very important step. It's to make sure you improve the condition of the soil. If you take a look at this, this kind of looks like a mixture of what you would get if you're trying to mix cement. It's got a lot of sand. It's easy to work with, but the issue is there's a lot of rocks. And the thing in digging this hole, I've noticed that there was no earthworms. The goal is you want to make sure you attract life, and to do so, you're going to want to add some compost. So what I purchased prior to coming here is this grow mulch, and it says 2-in-1 planting mix, an organic formulation made by Kellogg's, and I know that their manufacturing plant is just outside of Long Beach in Culver City. And what we're going to do is, as much soil as we've removed, we're going to add the same volume of compost. The goal is to have 50% native soil, 50% compost, and now we're going to mix these two together. Now that we've prepared the hole, we've now got a few inches of compost mixed with native soil at the bottom, and now we're going to prepare the tree. We're going to take off the label. We're going to take off the stickers. We're even going to remove all of these green ties that are on here, which are installed typically just before they're delivered to the nursery. But these are on so tight, it's actually constricting the flow of the water and sugars up and down the cambium tissues which underline the bark. It's important to take these off once you receive it, and you're going to restake it on your own. Take that out for now. And we're now just going to pick the tree up. We're going to tap around the side of the container, and then we're going to inspect the base of the plant to make sure that there aren't any girdling roots or any root-bound roots. So it's also a good idea to kind of run your fingers around the edge of the pot to waken up the side of the roots to let them know, hey, you're no longer in a container, and now we'll install it here in the ground. I'm also inspecting the very top of the plant to make sure that the nursery didn't add too much topsoil around the plant. So I'm also inspecting to see where do the roots start near the surface of the soil. So we're digging that back, and here we've just reduced the soil level about 1 inch lower, and here's where the fibrous roots begin. And these are very important roots for absorption of oxygen and the air and the nutrients that are in the topsoil. And now we're going to position the plant, as the directions say, about right at the soil level. And if you're going to air, you're going to want to air about 1 inch too high, because with all of this compost that's now beneath the plant, that's going to cause the plant to settle. So we got to make sure that we get the soil level right, and that's the reason that the newest instructions say to dig a hole twice as wide, but only as deep as the container. It no longer says twice as deep as the container, because they know the plant's going to settle, and a lot of trees die because they suffocate due to installations that are too low. So here we are. We're now going to backfill the native soil with the enriched compost. Getting the positioning just right is extremely important for the life and the health of this tree. We're now going to remove as many more rocks as we can. We're going to create the berm around the tree. And now we're just going to take some compost and add even more to the topsoil. This here is going to attract a lot of earthworms and beneficial organisms into this root zone area. And now we're just going to lightly fertilize the plant. So the next step is to feed your plant. Even though it's a new installation, a lot of growers will say not to feed it. This is our last chance. Again, being September, when it comes to feeding your trees, for those of you that already got plants in your backyard, you're gonna want to feed your plants. I like looking at it as a 24-hour day. You wake up in the morning, that's spring. Feed your plants. The middle of the day is summer. You're working the hardest, you're burning the most calories. That's when the plant's metabolism is full time. Their days are longest, that need the most amount of food, that's a great time to feed them as much as you can. And then come fall, you're gonna tailor it down and just feed them a little bit more. So it's a little bit in spring, a lot more in summer, a little bit in the fall, and nothing for winter. You don't feed your plants while they're resting in the winter, whether they're evergreens like this citrus or a dormant fig tree. You don't feed them in the winter. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna select from one of these three, all of which are organic. What your organics are gonna do is it's gonna feed the soil biology. Over here I got Eco Scraps, a balanced fertilizer, 555, 5% nitrogen, 5% phosphorus, 5% potassium. I can use something like this made by Citrus Tone, Espoma, and the percentage on here is over here with a 526, so a lot more nitrogen and potassium and low on the phosphorus. And then there's this one over here, which is made by Kellogg's, and if we turn it over, their percentages are 4, 5, 4. So again, a more balanced fertilizer. If I were to pick between these, I would look for something that's more balanced. Being, we want it to have some nitrogen, some phosphorus, and some potassium. Most people look at phosphorus being, you know, we don't want this young plant to support fruit, but phosphorus is important for other necessary chemical reactions within the plant aside from making fruit. So it's important to just give your plants everything that they need, and doing things organically will give them a lot more than just these 3 macronutrients that plants need. So I'm just gonna start off with this Eco Scraps over here, and we're just gonna add whatever the directions are, just a fraction of that amount around the plant. And I would say I probably added about 1/4 cup of fertilizer to the topsoil. I'm now just gonna rake that into the top 1/4 inch of the soil to hopefully activate the soil biology and wake them up and hopefully attract again those earthworms, beneficial bacteria, and nematodes to come and visit this area and create a symbiotic relationship with this tree that's here in the garden. Of all of the lessons that we talk about in gardening, and of all the videos that we publish, if there's one most important thing to do, it's mulching. And over here I've got these wood chips, which I picked up, and you can also get them from, if you're here in Los Angeles, Griffith Park gives away these wood chips for free. But when it comes to picking wood chips, make sure you don't go with the colored products that are on the line, and just use something that's more natural. What we're gonna do is create about a 2 to 3 inch ring around the root zone of the plant. And what this will do is retain moisture. In addition to, it'll break down and add more nutrients to the soil biology and encourage more life in this growing zone. So we're just gonna add not 1 bag, but 2 bags of wood chips for this little tree. Talk about creating an ecosystem. We're now going to create the ring. This here is going to encourage a lot of life to come and visit this area. We're going to get these rocks and clean up around the area in just a moment. And then just make sure with the wood chips that you pull it back and away from the tree trunk. So here I'm back down to the soil level. We're going to want to make sure that we stay at least a few inches away, and then the wood chips will grow up. And I'll make sure that the owner of this tree is aware of this while it continues to water around the tree, to make sure that the wood chips stay away and don't contribute towards the risk of stem rot. And now we've just got a couple more steps to go. Let me get the water while we wrap up the last and final step. So here we are now. We just soaked the tree for the last 15 to 20 minutes. You want to make sure you add enough water that you're just visually watering the entire root zone, that entire root ball. We went down about 3 feet roughly, or 2 feet, the size of the container. We're going to want to soak it about 3 feet. We want to soak that entire root zone area, and we're going to attract all the insects in this area to come and visit this area where the moisture is, where the root zone is, and with all of the organic fertilizers that'll be there to feed them. And in exchange, as these insects and biology consume the organic fertilizers as well as the wood chips, it'll be returning all these elements that'll then benefit the plant. What we're going to do next is we're going to now coat the plant with the Ivory Organics. And you got a few choices here. We've got the Ivory Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard ready to use spray. This here is ready to go. The other product that it's related to is this, which is the 3-in-1 Plant Guard. This here, the formulation, color white, is registered material for use in organic agriculture, and it reads protection against damaging sunburn, insects, and rodents. And the difference now between this line And this line, which is our newest line, is the Ivory Organics Whitewash, protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, is that the 3-in-1 product has these 7 natural organic oils that are proven oils for repelling rodents as well as insects from harming your plant. And then the whitewash, basically instead of having these 7 garden oils, has the protection of organic cinnamon and organic garlic in the powder formulation, and that'll be used once combined with water to offer your plant protection with, again, the primary focus of the whitewash is summer sunburn and winter sun scald. We're now going to take the 3-in-1, and this one here I've already added water to, and we're simply going to brush it now against the tree's trunk, like so. And that'll help prevent the risk of sunburn. And right here is the grafting zone, and there was some exposed wood that was right there. I just covered it a little bit too soon. I wanted to share that. But you can just imagine between the rootstock and then the scion wood, which is onto that grafting zone, there was some exposed wood there. We're now coating it as well to make sure that, again, pests don't enter that area with this coated protection. And we're just going to go around the tree like so. The most likely part of the tree to get burnt is going to be the southern side of the tree, and that's the sunny side of the tree. The northern side of the tree in the northern hemisphere is typically not affected by the risk of sunburn. But we went all the way around the tree, again, just for aesthetics, and it just looks better. So we just completed that task. What we're also going to do, and we talked about this at the beginning, the risks of citrus leaf miner, as well as the Asian citrus psyllid, and the diseases that they can potentially bring to your plants. What we're now going to do is also protect all of the leaves. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go with this. We're just going to take the Ivory Organics 3-in-1 ready-to-use spray. We're just going to shake it like so. And we're just going to spray all of the leaves like so. If you come in a little closer, you'll notice the white organic sunblock protection that's on the leaf, like so. And that'll dry and create a light film that'll help protect the plant from the risks of summer sunburn. It'll also minimize transpiration, and it'll minimize the stress to the plant in accomplishing the installation of the tree in this new location. What you can also do is just take the whitewash formulation, which is this can, and if you take a look at the back of it, the product can also be used, here we just use it as a brush-on direction, and it tells you can just fill up the can with water and stir it to create the brush-on. It can also be used here as a foliar spray, and let's read this real quick. May also be used to make a total plant, including foliage, sunscreen spray by diluting 1 to 2 teaspoons of the prepared brush-on solution per gallon of water. Ideal application at time of transplanting plants and trees and times of extreme heat. Can also be used to cool off plants treated with horticultural pest control oils, as oils tend to intensify the sun's rays that may increase the risk of sunburn. Filter products through strainers first to avoid the possibility of clogging. And the goal is, what you can now do with the whitewash formula is you can create something like this. Like, for example, here's the Ivory Organics 3-in-1 ready-to-use spray. This already has these oils in it, which include the castor oil, cinnamon oil, clove oil, garlic oil, peppermint oil, rosemary oil, and spearmint oil. The whitewash doesn't have any of these oils. As we already said, it's got the cinnamon and garlic oil, but you could then proportionally add one of your favorite horticultural sprays, such as neem oil, which is known for, here it says, it talks as, you know, that can help as an insecticide, a fungicide, a miticide. You can also use something like this, your all seasons horticultural and dormant spray, with the active ingredient here is mineral oil. And what you can do is you can create your dormant fruit tree spray, and just make sure that the oils don't burn your plant by adding a whitewash formula and creating your own foliar spray that way, and creating something that will naturally keep those pests off your plant, and at the same time preventing these oils from cooking your plant will be the whitewash to help reflect some of the intensity of the light rays and help keeping your plant several degrees cooler. So the last step now is to stake the tree. It's advisable in the first year to make sure you stake it so that that 5, 10, 20, or even 30 mile per hour wind doesn't knock the tree down until it gets established. And again, we're just talking about for the first year. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna insert the stake like so. We're staying this time a few inches away from the tree trunk, and we're just gonna push that down like so. What we're gonna do next is we're just gonna take our twine here, and when securing the tree to the stake, make sure you put the knot against the stake and not against the tree trunk, as you don't want the knot to girdle and constrict the flow of the waters and sugars up the plant. Just going to do another double knot here on this side. So this here is now secure. This string won't move. I'm now just going to wrap it around the tree, and you can notice that I've left several inches between the tree trunk and the stake, so that'll allow for the plant to grow in the upcoming year without having to manage and monitor the stake, and to make sure that the plant isn't constricting. Sometimes when it's too close, the plant will begin to girdle itself. You're gonna have to immediately remove it, and then if staking is still required, you would then restake it. But this plant will definitely be good in the position it's at for at least the next year. If you found this video informative, be sure to like it. Most importantly, by subscribing below, you'll be connected to this and all of our other educational gardening videos by Ivory Organics. Thanks again for watching, and happy gardening.